Good morning, student. We have been discussing the managerial economics. Managerial economics is all about the activities of the individual person, what he earns and what he spends. Means for food, for shelter, and for clothes. So how he earned the money and how he spend the money. This is all about the managerial economics. Sometimes it is an individual. It is all about the individual customers, or it is about the firm at the national level. So the demand analysis and forecasting. Demand analysis also highlights for factors which influence the demand for a product. Okay. This helps to manipulate demand. Thus, demand analysis studies not only the price elasticity but also the income elasticity. This will also go into the detail what do you mean by the price elasticity, what do you mean by the income elasticity, cross elasticity, as well as the influence of the advertising expenditure with the advent of the computers. Demand forecasting has become an increasingly important function of managerial economics. A firm can survive only if it is able to the demand for its product at the right time within the right quantity. Understanding the basic concept of the demand is essential for demand forecasting. Basic concept of the demand is essential for the demand forecasting. So we should have the basic concept ideas about the basic concept of the demand and supplies. It is very important part of the economics. Pricing and competitive strategy. Pricing decisions have been always within the preview of the managerial economics. Price theory helps to explain how the prices are determined under the different types of the market conditions. Competitive analysis includes the anticipation of the response of competitions, the firm's pricing, advertising, and marketing strategies. Product line pricing and pricing forecasting occupy an important place here. It is very important to study all this, that is pricing decisions in and the competitive strategy. Production and cost analysis. Production analysis is in physical terms, while the cost analysis is in monetary terms, cost concept and the classifications. Cost, output relationships, economies and diseconomies of the scale. Production junctions are some of the points constituting cost and production analysis. So while the cost analysis is in monetary terms, cost concept and classifications. Monetary terms means in financial terms, the cost concept and classifications, cost output relationship, economies and diseconomies of the scales and production functions are some of the points constituting cost and production analysis. Resource allocation. Managerial economics is the traditional economics theory that is concerned with the problem of optimum allocation of the scarce resources. So resources are not abundantly available in any organization because there is a the budget for the purchase of the equipment is very small, and therefore we have to uh, purchase all the necessary equipments, and therefore we can say there is a scarce resources are there. Even it is a money matter is also there. and if it is a scarce resources are there, then resource allocation should be considered under the managerial economics, and it is a traditional economics theory that is concerned with the problem of optimum utilization of scarce resources. Managerial analysis is applied to the problems of determining the level of output which maximize the profit. Managerial analysis is applied to the problem of determining the level of output which maximize the output. In this respect, linear programming techniques has been used to solve the optimization problems. In fact, lines programming is one of the most practical and powerful managerial decision making tools currently available. So managerial economics, whenever the problem of optimization occurs, there is a concept of the linear programming techniques, and in linear programming techniques we have to use the optimization techniques for the optimum allocation of the scarce resources or optimum solution for any problems. So the problems may be described by the linear equations, and therefore the linear programming techniques has been used. We have to use to solve the optimization problem, and there are the different tools are there available for managerial decision making tools. Profit analysis. Profit analysis is the major goal of the firms. There are several constraints here an account of the competition from other products, changing input prices, and changing business environment. Hence, in spite of the careful planning, there is always a certain risk involved. Managerial economics deals with the techniques of adverting of minimizing risks. Profit theory guides in the measurements and managements of profit in calculating the pure return on capital beside future profit planning. Profit analysis or profit is making is a major goal of the firms. Okay, whenever we establish any firm or organizations, our aim is always, our goal is to make the profit by selling the product of that organization. There are several constraints here on account of the competition from other products. For example, changing the input prices and changing business environments. Hence, in spite of the careful planning, there is always a certain risks involved. Even we do the planning for the organization for the products which we have produced, how to sell that product. So planning is always there, but in spite of the careful planning, there is always certain risks involved because of the environmental issues are there. That means the government policies or the market from the outside world. So that is always influence the your decision. Managerial economics deals with the techniques of averting of minimizing risks. So there are the risks is always there, certain risks is always there, but this we can avert sometimes by using the managerial economics. So profit theory guides in the measurement and the management of the profit. In calculating the pure return on capital besides future profit planning. Profit theory guides in the measurement and management of the profit. So there are some theories are there. Different theories have postulated by the different management persons, and therefore this profit theory is also guide the organization in the measurement and the management of the profit. How to manage the profit, how to measure the profit in calculating the pure return on the capital beside the future profit planning. Capital or investment analysis. Capital is the foundation of business. Lack of capital may result in a small size of the operation. Okay. Lack of capital may be your money, man, machines. मला अजून लेक्चर आहे माझं नंतर समजा काय झालं समजलं आलं नाही अजून मेसेज नाही आला. आला नाही म्हणा मेसेज नंतर करू ना आपण लेक्चर झाल्यानंतर करू. आला नाही पण मेसेज आला नाही माझे नाही आला ना आधार झालं नाही आला थांब एक मिनिट. नाही आला नाही अजून capital or investment analysis. Capital is the foundation of business. Lack of capital may results in a small size of operations. So a capital may be the man, machine or equipments, and therefore whenever there is lack of capital, that is results in a small size of the operations. So availability of capital from various sources like equity capital, institutional finances, etc., may help to undertake large scale productions. If the big industries are there, for example, if it is a Tata Industries is there, there is the availability of the capital is there, so they can purchase the Air India also. Okay, that is possible only when we have the capital with you. Various resources are there with you, like equity capital, institutional finance, etc., and this helps to undertake large scale operations. Then and then we can take the large scale operations. For example, for the Tata, they can purchase the Air India. So that is possible only when we have the capital, availability of the capital. Hello. नहीं आधा नहीं आधा So capital or investment analysis. Capital is the foundation of business. Lack of capital may result in a small size of operations. Availability of the capital from various sources like equity capital, institutional finances may help to undertake the large scale operations. Hence, efficient allocation and management of capital is one of the most important tasks of the managers. Even though we have the capital with us, so it is the skills, knowledge and experience that helps you for the efficient allocation and the management of capital is one of the most important tasks of the managers. So if the managers is a skilled, having the skills, experience and knowledge, then and then he can efficiently allocate and manage the capital of the organization. If he is not a skillful person, not having experience and knowledge, then we cannot, there is no guarantee that there is efficient allocation and the management of capital is there. So the major issues related to capital analysis are the choice of investment products, the what you are going to investment in the project. So which project you are going to investments, there is a choice of investment project. Number of the projects are there to invest in, but the major issues related to the capital analysis are we have to have the knowledge of the capital investment projects. सर लेक्चर चालू है मैं बाद में फोन करता हूँ सर. ओके 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 सर. The evaluation of the efficiency of the capital. Okay. Second major issues related to the capital analysis are evaluation of the efficiency of capital. Means even though we have the capital with us, there should be the proper evaluation of the efficiency of the capital. Means whatever the capital is there, we have allocated efficiently, or we are managing that capital efficiently, and there should be the proper evaluation of the efficiency of the capital is should be there also. Next is the most efficient allocation of capital. We have to again see these are the major issues related to the capital analysis. The most efficient allocation. The allocation of the capital is there, but whether that is a efficient allocation is there or not. And this is the most efficient allocation means the most efficient allocation means the whatever the allocations we have made in the organization, whether that is a capital allocation or another allocations, or another resources allocations are there. By allocating the capitals, that is the improvement in the production of the organization, there is a increasing the efficiency of the organization, and then we can say that is the most efficient allocation of the capital. Strategic planning provides the long-term goals and objectives and select the strategies to achieve the same. The perspective of the strategic planning is global. Strategic planning means the planning for the long-term goals and objectives and select the strategies to achieve the same. The perspective of the strategic planning is global. Strategic planning has given rise to be the new area of study called the corporate economics. Strategic planning, normal planning is always there, but strategic planning is the planning for the activity for the future, and it deals strategically so that the new area of the study called the corporate economics is to be studied accordingly. Strategic planning has given rise to the new area of the study called the corporate economics. Environmental or external issues, they refer to the general economics, social and political atmosphere within which the firm operates. Means environmental issues or these issues we can call it as external issues. So these issues generally refer to the general economics, which may be influenced by the government policies, external market, then social and political atmosphere within which the firm operates. So the surrounding social and political atmospheres, that are the external issues that also affect the managerial economics. A study of economics environment should include the types of economic system in the country. So the study of economic environment should include the types of economic study in the country, the general trends in production, employment, income, prices, saving and investment. So the study of economic environments means we have to study the general trends in production. What are the general trends are there in the production, in employment, in income, prices, saving and investment. Number B, the trends in the working of financial institution like banks, financial corporations, insurance companies, etc. So we have to also study what are the trends are there in the working of financial institutions like banks, financial corporations, insurance companies, like that. Next is the magnitude and the trends in foreign trade. So that also we have to study. Economic environment should also study about the magnitude and trends in the foreign trades. Next is the trends in the labor and capital markets. What are the trends are there in the labors and capital markets? Next is the government's economics policy. industrial policy, monetary policy, fiscal policy, and the price policy. So this we have to study. Whenever the budget is passed every year by the government, it is very necessary for any organization to study the government's economic policy, whether the economic policy has been changed or not. What about the industrial policy, monetary policy, tax policy, the fiscal policy, and price policy. The social environments refers to the social structures as well as the social organization like trade unions, consumers cooperative, etc. Okay, so the social environment refers to social structures as well as social organization like trade unions, consumers cooperative, etc. The political environments refers to the nature of state activity, chiefly states attitude towards private business, political stability, etc. Okay. So this political environment refers to the nature of state activity, chiefly states attitude toward the private business, political stability, etc. That is also considered, that will also affect the managerial economics. So what is the nature of the state activities are there, state government activities are there. So what is the attitude of the state toward the private business? What is the political stability of the state, whether they are politically stable or not? If they are politically stable, then they can take the decision in favor of the industries. Okay, they can mm, decide the policy of the investment to attract the organization for the investment in particular area or the like that. So that is depends upon the political stability. The environmental issues highlights the social objectives of a firm. That is, the firm owes a responsibility to the society. Private gains of the firm alone cannot be goals. So see, the environmental issues highlight the social objectives of the firm. There should be the social objectives of the organization is there. We say this is, that is a industry. They are having their, they should always decide in terms of the social activities. Whatever the activity they are doing, they have to also do for some society. So the environmental issues highlights the social objectives of the firm. The firm owes a responsibility to the society. So some organizations, they are doing something for the society either by giving directly financial assistance to the organization. It may be the non-government organization or the private organization for the activities they have undertaken for the welfare of the society of the nation. So some private gains of the firms alone cannot be goals. Okay. Demand analysis. Now, will it is very necessary to have the study of the demand analysis for the behavioral analysis. So demand in common parlance means the desire for an object. Okay. What is the demand? It is a general, or we can say it is the desire for an object. This means that the demand becomes effective only if it is backed by the purchasing power. In addition to this, there must be willingness to buy a commodity. Thus, the demand has three essential, that is a price, quantity demanded, and time. So these three essentials are there: price, quantity demanded, and time. Demand definition. Demand means the various quantities of goods that would be purchased at a particular price and not merely the desire of the things. That is a demand. Demand means the various quantities of goods that would be purchased. Various quantities of goods means various products are there in the markets that would be purchased at a particular price and not merely the desire of a thing. Laws of demand. Laws of demand shows that the relationship between price and quantity demanded of a commodity in the market. In the other word of Marshall, the amount demand increases with the fall in price, okay, and diminishes with the rise in price. That is the laws of demand according to the Marshall. So the amount of demand increases whenever there is a fall in prices. The amount of demand increases. At the same time, the demand diminishes with the rise in prices. As the prices of the product increases, the demand will automatically decrease. That is the laws of demand. So the laws of demand may be explained with the help of the following demand schedule. So for example, here consider the price of apple in rupees, the quantity demanded. So if it is a rupees 10 price of apple per apple, then quantity demanded is 1. Okay. If it is 8 rupees per apple, then quantity demanded maybe increases, it is 2. If it is a 6 rupees per apple, quantity demanded is 3. If it is a price of apple is 6, prices quantity demanded is 3. If the price of apple is 4, quantity demanded will be 4. If the price of apple is 2, the quantity demanded 5. So this is depends upon the quantity demanded is always depends upon the price. So now we can see the apples are there coming in the market, which are produced in the Kashmirs. Now in our country the production is there. This is October, November. The apples are coming in the markets, and plenty of apples are coming in the markets. Therefore, the quantity is increasing. Okay, so therefore the prices in the apple will also increase, and the more apples will be purchased by the consumers. Okay, so that is demand schedule. When the prices falls to rupees 10 to 8 quantity, demand increases by 1 to 2. We have seen this. When the price increases from 10 to 8, the demand is increased from 1 to 2. So in the same way, as the price falls, the quantity demand increases on the basis of demand schedule, as we can draw the demand curve. Okay, like this. This is a demand curve, the prices and quantity. As the price decreases, the quantity demanded will increases. As the price will increase, the quantity demanded will be reduced. So this is the demand curve. Okay, so this is always, we should always remember this curve, that is the price versus quantity demanded, and this curve is like this, which is always. So the demand curve, that is DD curve, shows the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. It is a downward sloping, as it is having the negative slope. So it is a downward sloping. So assumptions we have to made in this demand. The law of demand is based on certain assumptions. There is no change in the consumer taste and the preferences. These assumptions we have to consider while the law of demand, we have to, while studying the law of demand. There is no change in the consumer taste and the preferences. Income should remain constant. Okay, the law of demand is also depends upon the income of the person. So with these assumptions, we are considering that even income is remaining constant, then and then we can think about the demand curve. Demand curve will work only when with these assumptions that income should remain constant. There should be no substitute for the commodity. Okay, then and then this demand curve will work. There should be no substitute for the commodity, and the commodity should not confer at any distinction. Okay, next is the demand for the commodity should be continuous, and the people should not expect any change in the price of commodity. These are some assumptions we have to consider while studying the law of demand. Giffen paradox, exceptions to the demand of laws of demand. There are some exceptions to the laws of demand. Giffen paradox, the Giffen goods or inferior goods is an exception to the law of demand. See, even though we have considered some assumptions in case of the law of demand, there are some exceptions to the laws of demand. So when the price of inferior good falls, the poor will buy less and vice versa. See, when the price of the inferior goods falls, the price will buy less. See, even though we say that the laws of demand means when the prices of the good falls, the people will buy more, but there are some exceptions are there, and this is when the price of inferior good falls, the poor will buy less and vice versa. For example, when the price of maize falls, the poor are willing to spend more on superior goods than on maize. Okay. If the price of maize increases, he has to increase the quantity of money spent on it. This is the exception to the laws of demand. Veblen or demonstration effect. Veblen has explained the exceptional demand curve through his doctrine of the conspicuous consumption. Rich people buy certain goods because it gives social distinction or prestige. For example, diamonds are bought by the richer class for the prestige. This is also the exceptional to the demand curve. Means even though the prices of demands are more, it means that according to the law of demand, we should not go for purchase to the diamond. But there is a exceptions to the demand curve. The rich peoples buy certain goods because it gives the social distinction or prestige. For example, diamonds are bought by the richer class for the prestige. Ignorance. Sometimes the quality of commodity is judged by its prices. Consumers thinks that the product is superior if the price is high. It is also sometimes they ignore this fact. So consumer think that the prices is superior if the price is high. As such, they buy more at a higher prices. And speculative effect. Speculative effect is also there in the market. If you see the advertisement on the televisions, they create the speculations among the people. So that effect is also there. If the price of commodity is increasing, the consumers will buy more of it because of the fear that it increases still further. So that is a speculative effect on the consumer. Thus, an increase in price may not be accomplished by a decrease in demand. So this is the speculative effect. The companies or the organization, they produce by advertising their products on the television or on the different medias. So the fear of shortage also, during the times of emergency of war, the people may expect the shortage of commodity. So at the same time, when the corona pandemic was happened in the last year, fear of the shortage were there among the peoples. So during the time of emergency of corona pandemic, people may expect the shortage of commodity in the market. So at that time, they may buy more at higher prices to keep the stocks for the future. So that is also the fear of the shortage is also there. So these are some exceptions to the law of demand we have been discussing. Then necessaries. In case of necessaries like rice, vegetable, etc., people buy more even at a higher prices. Okay, even the demand and supply, that is demand curve, does not play here roles. Means there are some exceptions to the demand curves, like the necessities. In case of the necessaries like rice, this is very necessary things. Every consumer they require daily. Vegetables, people buy more even at higher prices. Factors affecting the demand, only 4 minutes are there. Jayad, you take the screenshot of the attendance and send me to the personal WhatsApp number, to my personal WhatsApp number. Jayad. Next, factors affecting the demand, the prices of commodity. The relation between the price and the demand is called the law of demand. If uh, it is it is not only the existing price but also the expected changes in price which affects demand. Income of consumer. The second most important factor influencing demand is consumer income. Okay. If the consumer is having more income, then he has the ability to purchase the commodity. If he is not having more income, then probably he may not in position to buy the product. So the income of the consumers also affect the demand. The demand for the normal commodity goes up when income rises. See, demand for the normal commodity goes up when the income rises and falls down when the income falls. But in case of the given goods, the relationship is opposite. Prices of the related goods. The demand for the commodity is also affected by the changes in prices of related good also. Related goods can be of the two types. For example, substitutes which can replace each other in use. For example, tea, coffee are substitutes. The change in prices of substitute has effect on the commodities demand in the same direction in which prices change. The rise in price of coffee shall raise the demand for tea. Okay. At this, whenever there is a rise in the price of the coffee, the consumers will turn their eyes to the tea. They will demand for more tea, and they will less purchase the coffee. So that is also the substitute which can replace each other's in use. They have given the example of tea and coffee. Whenever the prices for suppose tea increases, they will go for the purchase of the coffee. So this is, we can call it as a substitute. Complementary foods are those which are jointly demanded. Okay, such as pen and ink. If the price of pen goes up, their demand is less, as the result of which the demand for ink is also less. So this is the complementary foods, we can say, for those which are jointly demanded. Means pen and ink. If the prices of pen goes up, the demand is less for the demand is less, as the results of which the demand for ink is also less. The price and demand goes in opposite direction. The effect of changes in prices of commodity on amounts demanded of related commodity is called as the cross demand. That is the, it is explained by the giving the example of pen and ink. Means if the prices of the pen goes up, the demand is less, as a result of which the demand for ink is also less. And this effect of changes in prices of commodity on amounts of demanded of related commodity is called as the cross demand. So taste of the consumers.